Mic check, 1, 2. Making sure we're good. Hopefully we're good. All right, let's do this. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Good afternoon to people in the Midwest and the East Coast. Good morning to people on the West Coast. This is TNT Joe-Fi, tech news that Jerome Ortega finds interesting. This is episode something because I lost count like I normally do. How's it going, guys? Good afternoon. Or good morning, like I said earlier. Hey, real quick before I do start, I know that people have been telling me that they didn't get the notification yesterday for the stream when it started. So if you guys have a chance, feel free to check and just make sure you click that stupid bell. I hate saying shit like that because that's typically not how I do it. But if you are wanting to catch these streams live, just make sure that you're subscribed and that notification bell is clicked. I don't know. I can't tell you what YouTube does or how they do their shit. So sorry about that if you missed yesterday's stream. Just double check and make sure that that bell notification's on. Let me go ahead and say what's up to everybody in chat. Mint Arcade got in here first. So first, Mint Arcade, welcome to the stream. How you doing, man? How's it going? Glad you can make it. I see Brian in here too. Yeah, Brian was saying I didn't even get the notification. Yeah, so again, guys, just double check and make sure. Brent Wigstead. Brent, how's it going, man? Welcome to the stream. Glad you could make it. MV in here too. What up, y'all? What up, MV? How's it going, man? Who else do I got in here? Paul Hendricks enlisted in a pop quiz in 30 minutes. Oh, okay. Well, thanks for making the stream. Glad you could make it, man. So make it good. Here's the thing is like I kind of have it's kind of a slow tech news day today, but I'll try to make it good. I try to make every stream good, at least somewhat entertaining. Thanks for making it though. Appreciate it. Mint Arcade says 1:23 a.m. here. Being hardcore. Well, thanks for making it, man. Thanks for stopping by. All right. Let's get started. I don't want to waste Paul's time. Just messing. Okay, so today, yeah, again, it's kind of a slower news day, but I'm just gonna go through a couple stories. If there's some stuff that you want to talk about, feel free to put it in chat. Maybe we can like talk about it, see what's going on. But we'll start off with this story from Android Police: the OnePlus 8 Pro versus the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus, which is the better value? They're both very expensive values if you want to put it that way, but yeah, maybe let's break this down. And if someone is thinking about getting a OnePlus 8 Pro or a Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus, which one would you get? I guess in my head, when I'm thinking about it outright, I would say OnePlus 8 Pro, just for the mere fact that you're paying $1,000 or $900 versus, what does a Galaxy S20 Plus go for now? 1,200. I think it's 1,200, which is pretty expensive. I think you could get it cheaper if you do that weird 50%, like we'll give you 50% cash back if you pay it in full right now. But yeah, I don't know. That's still not the best deal ever. So, okay, let's go ahead. Let's get started. OnePlus 8 Pro versus Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus. Which is the better value? OnePlus's latest flagship is its most expensive ever. Is it still a deal compared to the competition? Is it still a deal? It just came out. It's not, it hasn't been hasn't been out for that long. Okay, so the OnePlus 8 Pro is the company's newest flagship and its most expensive one ever by a long shot. Very true. It's a straight up flagship with no real missing features to speak of either, even finally boasting proper water resistance and super fast wireless charging. Equipped and priced as the phone is, it's in direct competition with other large premium devices from big manufacturers, like for example, Samsung's Galaxy S20 Plus. Here we discuss which of the two is a better bargain. If we're talking about performance, I mean, I know they have the same chipset, but I can pretty much say that the OnePlus 8, just because of its cleaner skin, it's more stock Android, UI, I feel like that would be better performing. And I only can talk about experience because I've had past OnePlus phones, and even a year or two later, they still perform really well, which is not something I can say about older Samsung phones. Maybe it's different now, but I wouldn't be too surprised if it wasn't. Both the 8 Pro and S20 Plus are pretty stacked specs wise. Each has a Snapdragon 865 and up to 12 gigs of RAM. The S20 Plus only comes with 12 gigs. The entry level 8 Pro has 8 gigs. In real world terms, that means both will do anything you could reasonably expect an Android phone to do. Games, productivity, multitasking, what have you. They each pack beefy batteries too, with the Samsung housing a 4,500 milliamp hour cell and the OnePlus 4510. So pretty much the same battery wise. Performance and longevity are basically a wash with like equipped models. I really wouldn't call it a wash. I mean, yeah, maybe when you first get a S20 Plus, maybe the performance is pretty good, pretty solid at first, but I don't know. I think there's something about its UI that starts to bog it down, to slow it down as time goes on. I could be wrong. Again, the last Galaxy I've owned is an S9, so maybe things changed with the S10. Maybe things change now with the S20. I don't know. For you guys, have you experienced any issues with an S10 or an S20 over time? Has it slowed down a bit, or does it seem pretty much the same? Does it seem like when you first got it day one? Because I can tell you from the OnePlus phones that I have owned, and the last one that I did own was a 6T. I still have that. That thing still works pretty well, and it still flies pretty fast for what it is. Okay, camera. This is a weird one. This is also a really short article. They're not going in depth with stuff. I really thought they would. OnePlus's cameras historically have been a point of weakness, and I still question its camera. Yes, it's been a point of weakness, and I still think it's still a point of weakness. Just yes, has it gotten better? Probably with the 8 Pro. Has it gotten better by a lot? I don't know. Has it gotten better with night mode? That's kind of what I'm more curious about. Nightscape, right? That's what OnePlus calls it, Nightscape. So the 8 Pro has four of them cameras. 5 if you count the selfie cam. There's 48 megapixel regular and wide options, plus 8 megapixel telephoto and a baffling color filter camera that shouldn't factor into your decision. Yeah, I don't think anybody is buying a OnePlus 8 Pro because of its color what is it, color filter camera lens. On the S20 Plus, you'll find 12 megapixel primary and wide shooters and a 64 megapixel telephoto. Although performance has improved since the last generation, Ryan found OnePlus's image processing a bit heavy-handed on the 8 Pro, with saturation and contrast tuned too high, which is, yeah, that's usually it. Yeah, it says here that's Samsung's signature move when it comes to photography too, which is what I was thinking. And frankly, neither of these phones, look at that sentence right there. Frankly, neither of these phones are going to deliver the best mobile photography. If that is not a sentence that kind of just that is a punch gut to me. You're spending $1,000 or $900 or 1,100 or 1,200 or whatever on a phone, and for them to just outright say neither of these phones are going to deliver the best mobile photography, that is a punch in the gut. Why are you spending that much money then? Are you spending it because of its performance? Because you're brand loyal? I don't know. I wouldn't spend that much money then if you know that the camera is not going to be top tier. They're both capable though, and neither has a camera that should dissuade you from buying. See, I don't agree with that statement either. I think for a lot of people, when I ask people what they want out of a phone, I think the two things that I hear a lot is, hey, I just want something with a good battery and a good camera. I mean, and so when someone tells me that, I have to think about that and be like, okay, well, what are the best camera options out right now? What's going to perform really well, and then of course you have to factor in the price point. So I'm not saying that they're going to be bad cameras, but again, if you're paying that much money for a phone, I don't know, maybe there's some better options out there, or maybe you could save a couple extra bucks and get something with a better camera that's not going to, cost you close to $1,000. As far as the display, the S20 Plus and 8 Pro both feature big, beautiful 1440p screens, Quad HD, both just a skosh. Is that a word? Skosh? Both just a skosh under 7 inches. Is that like a skosh? Is that like a smidge? I think so. I'll have to check that up later. 6.7 inch on the Samsung, 6.78 inch on the OnePlus. They're both capable of high refresh rates too, with the option to display content in either 60 or 120 hertz. But to save battery, Samsung knocks the resolution down to 1080p when 120 hertz is active. OnePlus gives you the option to max both, which is bad for battery, but an objectively better experience if you want it. That is the main key point here. A better experience if you want it. So if you want to use Quad HD, 120 hertz, you can do it. And if you don't want it, then you can turn it off. Samsung doesn't give you that availability. Maybe they will in a future update. I don't know if that's true or not. But it says here the 8 Pro has the edge here. I agree, but probably loses it for the inconsistency of its display panel overall. Something Ryan notes in our review. Actually, I didn't know that. All that talk about DisplayMate giving it an A+, and then here we have somebody who's reviewed it saying that the display is inconsistent. I haven't read about that. I don't know exactly what's going on with that, but that's not the best thing to read about or to hear about, especially if you own a phone like that and you're spending that kind of money. So as far as features, the S20 Plus and 8 Pro offer a lot of similar features. They both are 5G compatible. We have gone through this story many times. 5G compatible or 5G capability is great. I just don't think it is the best thing to have right now. They keep increasing 5G everywhere, it makes me happy to see, but I still don't think it is ready for prime time just yet, or it shouldn't be your deciding factor when you're buying a phone just yet. IP68 rated and have wireless charging. There are some differences though. Samsung's new hotness supports millimeter wave 5G. That's the faster but less widely available kind. The 8 Pro does not. That's right. If you want millimeter wave, I think the only option that you can get is Verizon's version. And it's not even an 8 Pro. It's just an 8 that you still have to spend an extra $100 about. I talked about this, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. It's an awful buy. Don't buy it. Don't buy anything right now for millimeter wave, especially because you're not going to be able to really find it anywhere. It also has expandable storage and an always on display. OnePlus says AOD, always on display, is coming soon to its phones, but hasn't said when. Yeah, I'm kind of hit or miss with always on display. I like using it, but it's also kind of a battery killer. But when you have something that, is as huge as a battery as these are, maybe it's not going to be as big of a deal. But the 8 Pro has faster charging, both wired and wireless, up to 30 watts with OnePlus's proprietary chargers. It also has a physical alert slider. That's one of my favorite features on OnePlus, is that physical alert slider, which is also a feature on my iPhone, right? The silent switch. I love stuff like that because it's just a mechanical switch that I don't have to like turn my phone on and mess with. I can just do it on the fly on the phone. A feature that really ought to be standard in all smartphones. I completely agree with that, and remains a fan favorite feature among longtime OnePlus users. Why doesn't the Pixel add that in there? Out of all the phones that would add a slider switch or a silent switch, I would love to have a Pixel have that on their phones. Why is OnePlus the only company that's doing that outside of, I mean, you have the iPhone, but as far as Android, it's kind of weird to me. There aren't any big boxes left unticked by either phone, but differing fringe benefits will speak to different users. Need a ton of storage. The micro SD slot on the S20 Plus means it's probably for you. Yeah, that's true, but I also don't. Well, it might be a deal breaker for some people, so I could see that. Love that alert slider. Go with the 8 Pro. That's kind of a weird statement to say there. I don't think an alert slider is really a deal breaker either. Yes, it's a great feature, and I love having it on a OnePlus phone. But I don't think people are saying, "Well, I'm not buying any other phone because there's no mechanical alert slider or a silent switch or whatever." Okay, so price: the Galaxy S20 Plus starts at $1,200 for the model with 128 gigs of storage. Now, remember, you can go to Samsung's website and you can uh, do that 50%, where they give you 50% of your money back if you send the phone back within 2 years. Now, you have to make sure that the phone screen doesn't crack and that you don't like completely abuse it. But if you spend $1,200 on this S20 Plus, they'll give you $600 back anytime within 2 years when you're ready to return it, which isn't a bad deal at all. Because then in a way, it's like $600 that you're getting back, but they're still holding that other $600. So you still have to shell out all that cash right off the bat. The most comparable trim on the OnePlus 8 Pro, the one with 12 gigs of RAM, is $999 and has 256 gigs of storage space. Oh, I see what they're saying here. So if you want to compare head to head with 12 gigs of RAM, the only one you can get with 12 gigs of RAM is their $1,000 version for OnePlus. So it's still $200 difference. Yeah, instead of the $300 difference of getting it for $899. If you can live with 8 gigs of RAM, the price drops to $899, even lower in some markets. We've also talked about that before. In China and in India, you can get the OnePlus 8 and OnePlus 8 Pro for over $100 less than what you would pay here in the States. That's not cheap, but it's a savings of at least $200 versus Samsung, while still offering most of the features the S20 Plus does, and even some it doesn't. You can take advantage of Samsung's buyback program, just like I was talking about earlier, on the S20 family, though, which guarantees Samsung will pay you $600 for your S20 Plus when you send it back to them after 24 months. After 24 months? I thought you're supposed to send it back to them within 24 months. I'd have to look at the terms. If any of you are really interested, let me know so we can double check. But yeah, or do yourself a favor and read the fine print before you decide to like buckle down and spend over $1,000 on a phone. It's hard to do an apples to apples comparison here, though. OnePlus phones are notoriously good at maintaining the resale value. That's also a really key point, something that chat has brought up in previous streams, and I really didn't think about it until recently, but that's very true. I think out of all the Android phones, it looks like OnePlus phones, they do hold their value pretty well. So it's likely the 8 Pro will still end up being considerably less expensive even on the back end. In the most generous of interpretations to Samsung, value leans slightly toward OnePlus, but on the basis of simple MSRPs, OnePlus clearly wins out. Yes, because obviously the price difference for what you get is going to be cheaper. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, for me, if I had to pick between a OnePlus 8 Pro and a Galaxy S20 Plus, I would most likely pick the OnePlus 8 Pro, mainly because of price and because of its performance. Although I don't know how its camera fares. One, because I don't want to spend $900 on a phone just to test out its camera. But I guess I have to be skeptical just because in past experiences with OnePlus, the camera's been good, and we've had this conversation many times, but at night it just doesn't, hold its weight versus some of the heavy hitters out there. The Galaxy phones in retrospect, though, in many times that I've used them before, they've done fairly well, both in day and night, something I was pretty happy about, even in video. I don't know about the newest ones, something I'd have to test, but I keep hearing issues with the S20 Ultra, so yeah, who knows? Okay, let me get into chat here. Again, guys, thanks for stopping by. My head is, I need to go this way. Let me just take this off for now. So, hey guys, how's it going? For everybody who just came in, if you're just stopping by, hey, real quick, please feel free to like the video. Liking the video helps me in the whole weird algorithm way. But I've had other people also tell me that if you are trying to make these streams, again, I do stream Monday through Friday, right around 12 p.m. Central. Lately, it's been around 12:15, but people are telling me they haven't been getting notifications. So if you haven't, just double check that you are subscribed and that weird, stupid bell notification is clicked. I said this earlier. I hate saying that stuff, but if you are looking forward to these streams, just make sure that, you're good to go. Otherwise, guys, thank you for joining the stream. Let me go through chat real quick. I'll scroll up, say hi to everybody, see what's going on. Okay. I'm not going to be able to go through all the chat here, but let me see here. So Brent also says, if you can get a phone with a camera rated in the top 10 for under 1,000, you got to be relatively happy with that. I hear you. Just $1,000 is so much for a phone. It's so hard for me to Ozbibao, am I saying that right? Hey, welcome to the stream. How's it going, man? Glad you can make it. Honestly, 1440p on a phone is complete overkill except for VR, which is dead on smartphones. So I agree with you on that. Is it nice to have a quad HD display? Sure. Is it nice to have a very high refresh rate? Sure. I'm sure all of these things are huge pluses on a phone. Is it a deal breaker? For me, it really isn't. I have my Pixel 4, and most of the times, yeah, I can notice a difference between 90 hertz and 60 hertz, but it isn't groundbreaking for me. It doesn't blow me out of the water, right? It doesn't make me say, I am never using my iPhone 11 Pro again, because for the most part, I still use my iPhone 11 Pro more than my Pixel 4. So I hear you on that. Anyway, welcome to the stream. Appreciate you stopping by. Gilio Jax is here too. A skosh is a colloquial and imprecise unit of measurement, meaning a small amount. Yes. Okay. That's what I was figuring. I was trying to put that in my head, but I gotcha. So Gilio Jax, thank you for sharing. Now we know. Now, I need that the more you know banner to come across there. But Gilio Jax, welcome to the stream. Glad you can make it. Okay, let me scroll down here. Let me see what else is going on. Sorry, guys, just seeing what's going on. I see Mike in here too. Mike Schneider, what up? What up, Mike? How's it going? Glad you can make it. Thank you for stopping by. Again, everybody, thanks for stopping by. If you haven't already, double check that you're getting notifications for these streams. Again, people have been telling me they haven't been getting it, so just double check. Click that weird bell notification, whatever. Okay, so let's see. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just trying to read through, seeing what I can put up here. Well, actually, if you can wait, Samsung price will drop significantly in a few months after launch, which is also a good point to make, which is why, I think in our little tech chat that we have, I think Brian bought a Note 10 Plus, right? Just because you get them on good deals. They drop after price for a while. So yeah, that's something to also think about is, you need to sometimes not buy the newest phone that's coming out the day of, because you're going to be like me and you're going to be a sucker. You're going to spend $800 for a Pixel 4, and then you realize that it's going to drop in price by a couple $100, not too much later, which is sad. But that's, I said for a while that should have never been priced at $800 in the first place. Okay, so let's move on here, guys. Oh, real quick, I see Jorge Omar Gonzalez. Hey, Jerome, back again. Hey, Jorge, thanks for making it. Thanks for making the stream. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Okay, let's move on. So this next article here is from Oh, it's two articles from Android Police. Okay, so let's talk about the Moto G Power and the G Stylus. This is a review from Android Police. Big batteries on a budget. Are there any of you here that have been shopping for a cheaper phone, not $1,000? You know, we're talking about, I think the Moto G Power is 250, which is a pretty cheap phone for the price, $250. But have any of you looked into this? I have been a big Moto fan for a while when the Moto X Pure came out. Um, and then that was it. Then they changed and everything kind of like went crazy with Moto, and I haven't really been following. But when a price comes up for a phone at 200 something bucks, it's kind of hard not to take a look and see if it's worth it. So there are two versions of this, a Moto G Power and a Moto G Stylus. And I think the only difference is one has a stylus. I guess we'll read and see. So the original Moto G was a revolution, not because it was an amazing phone, but because it was an amazing value, which is true. I when the Moto X Pure came out, I owned that, but I also owned a suite of Moto Gs just to test them out and play around with them and see if they were good value. And I think they were for the most part. I don't think I used them as often as I should have for testing, but it was a decent phone and it did its job for, the short period you could use it with, because I think it was just a matter of time before they would start to kind of slowly just lose its performance and not keep up with what, is going on with newer phones and whatever. So, Motorola has released numerous G series phones since then, but it has at times forgotten what made the Moto G special. That's a great way of putting it, because I really feel like Moto has lost their way ever since they got acquired or bought out by Lenovo. These are not premium or premium adjacent phones. They're supposed to be good values. Last year's Moto G devices were a questionable value at best, but Moto has readjusted in 2020 with the G Power and S Stylus. Oh, it's called an S Stylus? Moto S Stylus? No, it's called a Moto G Stylus. I think they might have made a mistake there. Okay. These phones are fast enough, but they won't come close to the experience of a flagship phone. The cameras get the job done, but you'll never best a Pixel or OnePlus phone. Will you not best a OnePlus phone? I don't know. The Moto G7 that I tested, the camera was actually pretty decent on it. The displays, hey, you won't hate looking at them, but Samsung's OLEDs blow them away. Fair enough. But starting at $250, the new Moto G phones are a step in the right direction for Motorola and a good value for budget phone buyers. So going through the specs real quick for this Moto G Power, it has a Snapdragon 665, which already automatically kind of pushes me away from it, because I'm looking at the Snapdragon 600 series and I just don't know. Yeah, it'll be serviceable, but I don't think it will last you in the long run. Maybe good for a year or two, maybe 2 years tops, maybe for people who are really light users, but I just don't know how well that Snapdragon 665 is going to hold up. So 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage. We'll read about all this other stuff later, but it has a huge battery at 5,000 milliamp hours, and it runs Android 10. This Moto G Stylus is also right. It's running the same Snapdragon chipset, 4 gigs of RAM, same kind of deal here. Oh, it has double the storage. So this one has 128 gigs of storage. See, I just feel like they're making too many different models for it. Why isn't there just one G series and make that the value phone and put the 128 gigs there as the default? And see, this has a smaller battery at 4,000 hours. So you're compromising for that price. And then this has a stylus on it. That's just such a weird thing to me. Why not just have a Moto G, right? Call it a Moto G, put that Snapdragon 665 in there or whatever, the 4 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage, and a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. And then you can add that stylus or whatever if it's really that beneficial. I don't know if it is, with Android 10 and a headphone jack, and call it a day. And then make that the Moto G, and then make that one of your budget, like well-run phones, instead of having two variants. And then here we are sitting here thinking, well, which one should I buy? Should I sacrifice the battery because I want a stylus, or should I sacrifice internal storage because the other one gives me double? Or can you buy a Moto G Power and get double the storage? It's such a weird thing, and it also makes me wonder who is running, or who is behind the wheel at Motorola. Why are we doing this? So these phones, particularly the G Power, will run ages on a charge. Looks more modern with the punch hole camera and slimmer bezels, no annoying front-facing branding. You get a clean, efficient build of Android with a few nice extras. The $250 price is a good value for the G Power. The not so good, Motorola is not the great. Motorola is not great about update support on budget phones. Despite the large batteries, these phones only support 10-watt charging. Oh, so there's not even fast charging on it, or it's kind of, yeah. Anyway, no NFC, glossy plastic, stylus trade-offs. The G Stylus loses a lot of battery capacity and the wide angle camera. See, just weird things that why not just put all these features together and then call it the Moto G and just make it one solid value, budget phone. I don't get that. Maybe I'm not the marketing guy. I'm just seeing how it is. I'm just calling it how it is, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So, design, hardware, yeah, I don't really want to get into all of that now. I kind of just want to see how they feel about it. Yeah, like here with performance, especially, I don't know how the Snapdragon 665 works. So, to hear about it, to read about it is at least interesting for me. So Motorola adopted a stock Android UI years back when it was part of Google, and the company has maintained that interface as part of Lenovo, but it's still not completely stock Android. The Google Era Moto was also innovative with software features. Sadly, that has not continued under Lenovo. There's less to make the G Power and G Stylus stand out, as the core Android experience has crowded out custom features like Moto Voice and Moto Display. I've long cited Moto Display as one of my favorite things about Motorola's phones, and it's still good. It's just not dramatically better than the always-on display functionality on most other phones. I remember when Moto Display first came out, I loved it. I really did. But yeah, maybe they haven't kept up with what made them good back in the day. The new G phones don't even wake Moto Display when you wave a hand over it like older Moto devices. And that was one of the things I loved about it. And you can't do that anymore. That's a shame. Okay, while Moto is coasting on past software ingenuity, the overall experience is still above average. There aren't duplicate bloatware apps or adware. It ships with Android 10, and the home screen has Google Discover. All great things. I will also note that Moto Actions is still a great little bonus on the G series phones. The chop to activate the flashlight is so useful that I'm surprised no one has copied it. I love that feature too. I hate having to turn my display on to turn the flashlight on using that chop, and if you guys don't know, you take I have my iPhone here, but you literally take the phone and just chop it down twice and it turns the flashlight on. And I think that's a great feature. Motorola has a sordid history with Android updates, but it's hard to find a sub $300 phone that doesn't. These phones will probably just get one major OS update and a few quarterly security patches. The OS update will probably be quite late too. Moto's clean software experience helps keep the performance at acceptable levels. The G series phones with the Snapdragon 665 are certainly fast enough. Nothing happens as fast as it does on a phone with higher end 800 series chips, but you can get used to the small delays. See, I don't know if I could get used to the small delays, and it's not even that. It's the fact that if I'm trying to recommend a phone to somebody that I know is trying to keep a phone for 2 years at least, I just don't know how well this phone is going to hold up 2 years from now, which is see, that's really hard for me to say because now the iPhone SE is coming out and it's going to have an A13 chip on it. And that phone is going to last somebody a couple of years. That at least is a good recommendation for somebody that wants to keep a phone for a couple of years. And I don't know. So, but yeah, if you're a battery life junkie, so it's one of the primary selling points here. The G Power has a humongous 5,000 milliamp hour battery, which is huge, huge, which keeps it running for about 3 days. If you don't charge your phone within those 3 days, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have it. That's great, but for me to have a battery that lasts me, 2 days, I'm happy with it. I'm more than happy with it. It's freeing to be able to just use your phone without any hint of range anxiety. That is very true. These are good points. The smaller 4,000 milliamp hour battery in the G Stylus lasts about 2 days, which would be fine for me. Maybe not for everybody else, but that would be okay for me. And that's good overall. It's just not as special as the G Power's longevity. Again, really, why not just put these two together? Honestly, I don't think the smaller battery is a good trade-off for the Stylus. No, I don't. I think that's dumb. I've never used a phone with a Stylus, so I really don't know if it's that much more beneficial. I'm trying to think of the person who uses a stylus on a phone, but I don't know. Maybe I don't I don't know. I don't use I've never used a stylus on a phone. Unfortunately, charging the G Power and G Stylus is a bit disappointing. These devices only support 10-watt charging. Motorola insists on calling this quote rapid charging, but that seems awfully kind. Yeah, that's stretching it a little bit there. It takes ages to recharge the batteries in these phones. Yeah, imagine a 10-watt charger, a 10-watt charging capability on 5,000 milliamp hours. That'll take a while. I don't think anyone is expecting a budget phone to take amazing photos, and the new G series phones don't. I don't know. My Moto G7, the Moto G7 that Mike had lent me. I thought they were pretty good for what it was. For 180 bucks, Mike was able to find a good deal on that phone for $180 brand new. But I thought the camera shots were pretty decent. They do, however, take surprisingly okay photos. Uh, Surprisingly okay is such two words that I just don't see together. The G Stylus has a 48 megapixel primary sensor, and the G Power is just 16 megapixels. Despite that, the difference in photo quality is negligible because it's not about megapixels, guys. It's really just the best way to see how good a camera is to take those shots, compare it. Don't worry too much about all this jargon that you find in camera specs. I just don't think at this, especially with the Galaxy S20, all of this like huge sensor kind of talk. I mean, yes, these are great things to have, but overall, what's going to matter is how these pictures really turn out. That said, both phones take solid outdoor shots with low shutter speeds and accurate colors. In middling light, the G Stylus does manage to keep shutter lag lower because of its pixel binning, so you get fewer blurry shots and better, usually, lighting. Again, the difference between the phones is not dramatic, but the G Stylus is the winner. So the G Stylus is going to have the better camera on it. Ooh, that's really awful as a picture. This is the G Power. Yeah, that's these are nothing to write home about. These are really soft shot. Oh my god, these shots are not that good. Yeah, the G Stylus. Yeah, these aren't that great either. They're very soft. They're not sharp at all. Both phones have a wide angle camera sensor, but only the G Power uses it in the way you'd expect. It takes wide angle photos, but the G Stylus uses it exclusively for wide angle action cam video. Similar to one of the company's Motorola One devices, you can hold the G Stylus in portrait and capture ultra wide video. Yeah, it's not the it's not a big factor for me right now, especially when I'm looking at the other shots. If that's what the primary lens is giving you, good luck with what the wide angle gives you. Should you buy it? Maybe. We all know this is a tough time to launch a phone with the global economy on the decline and uncertainty around the coronavirus pandemic. For a lot of people, a cheaper phone makes sense right now. Yeah, I don't know. At $250, yeah, it's a cheap phone that you can get brand new, but maybe you might be better off saving just a little more money and either buying a really, a better used phone, or um, just saving your money and getting something like like the iPhone SE. I hate saying it, but at $400, you're going to get a camera way better than that. You're going to get performance probably way better than that. You won't get that 3-day battery life. So if battery is more important to you, if staying in Android's ecosystem is more important to you, then yes, I can understand. But there might be better options than buying one of these phones. They offer incredible battery life, solid performance, passable photo quality, and even a stylus if you're into that. I am not. And the G Power is still cheaper than last year's Moto G7. A phone like the OnePlus 8 or Galaxy S20 will be faster and better at almost everything than the G series phones. Actually, give me 1 second, because I think the other day I talked about how you could get, it was on Woot, I think it was Woot. You could get a OnePlus 6T for $299, brand new, sealed, brand new. So if you're thinking about $250, just say $50 extra and get the OnePlus 6T. I have a OnePlus 6T, and other than the in-display fingerprint reader, which I'm not happy about, I think that's a better deal than what this Moto G Power or Moto G Stylus gives you. And I think you could buy it brand new, like open inbox. So yeah, they say brand new, but it's slightly used. You could get that for 280, and that was on Woot. I don't know if that deal is still available, but I thought that was a really good price on a phone. Yeah, as it stands, this is a niche feature. They're talking about the stylus. That's not worth sacrificing battery life. The increased storage is probably the best upsell for the G stylus, but you've got an SD card slot in the G Power. Buy it if you want a cheap, reliable phone that runs almost forever on the charge. I would still take a look at something like the OnePlus 6T over this. Don't buy it if you want a fast phone with more features and if you don't mind paying more to get it. Yeah, that's a hard sell for me. That's a hard thing for me to recommend. Maybe I would have to test it out. Cheap phone, 250, good price. It might be serviceable for a year or so. I don't know. It's hard for me to recommend. Okay, guys, let me get back into chat here. Again, everybody, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you stopping by. If you haven't already, feel free to like the video. Liking the video helps me in the whole algorithm thing. I have had people tell me that they haven't been getting notifications when I go live on stream. If you haven't, just double check that you are subscribed and you click that bell notification. I really thought I'd never have to say shit like that, but if you guys like catching the streams, I do stream Monday through Friday at around 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. So, you can always catch me around that time anyway if you don't get that notification. But if you need to double check, just feel free. Okay, so let me see here. Let me go in chat. Just say hi to everybody. I see Tobez here, Nuajagu. Hopefully I say that right. I think that Motorola is a joke for this $1,000 price point. Yeah, we talked about that Motorola Edge Plus. That is the worst deal I think you could probably get. I'm sure there are some really bad deals out there, but that Motorola Edge Plus is a $1,000 Motorola phone. You can only use it on Verizon. It will only guarantee you 1 year of an OS update, which is such a joke to think about. Again, it's carrier locked. It's probably going to have bloatware on it. Yeah, just not worth that money. I feel you on it. I feel you on air. Feel you on that. Denelli, Tobez, by the way, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the chat. Denelli, I am here. Hey, Denelli, you are here. Welcome. Max Tech Studios, hashtag TNT JoeFi. Hey, Max Tech, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Thanks for shouting it out. Sorry, guys, my phone's going off. I should have put that on silent, and it is now. Nope, it's still ringing, but whatever, it's fine. Sorry about that. Levin Williams, hello everyone. I made in here on my break. Levin Williams, welcome. Thanks for stopping by, even on your break. Appreciate you coming by and saying what's up. Nice to see you in here. Nice to see you stop by. Okay, let me scroll down a little bit. So Tobez says even the LG V60 is a better purchase than this Moto device. Oh God, I hear you, man. Max Tech Studio says, Jerome, how many subs do you have? Your sub count is hidden. Max Tech Studios, I have about 30,000 is what I'm at. That number just dips down every day because I took a break from YouTube. That's when I decided to go back to work, and I had lost I was gone for about a year, and now YouTube hates me and they just don't show me an algorithm, so people have a hard time finding me, which is why I say things like, hey, please feel free to like and whatever, because maybe it'll help get me back into the whole groove of things. But it is what it is. But yeah, about 30,000 is what I'm at. Okay, so Will says updates don't matter. Janus has spoken. That's an inside joke. Hey, Will, welcome to the stream. Glad you can make it. And Levin with a $2 super chat. Levin, thank you so much, man. Thank you. Levin, I don't know if you noticed, but at the beginning and end of my streams now, I shout out everybody in those intros who have donated in super chat. So feel free to check that out. You will be in every intro and outro for people who super chat for that month. Levin says, I'm an essential worker, but I had to stop through. Levin, thanks so much, man. And honestly, stay safe out there, because you guys who are essential workers, or you guys who work the front lines, I give you guys so much credit. I give you kudos for what you do. Again, stay safe. Appreciate you with the super chat. Appreciate all you guys for just stopping by and saying what's up. Android Stud, damn bro, you stream live more than ESPN. Yeah, Leo, Monday through Friday, every 12 p.m. Central. Even if I don't have shit to talk about, we'll find a way to talk about tech. Leo, thanks for dropping by. Appreciate you stopping by, man. Thank you so much. Mint Arcade says, Jerome, love your videos on Pixel 3 camera review. Thank you. Thank you, Mint Arcade. You guys are in for a treat because on Friday, tomorrow, my iPhone SE is coming. And when that phone comes in, I am going to be making a slew of camera photo comparison tests, video comparison tests, portrait mode with the iPhone SE versus my Pixel 4 and versus my iPhone 11 Pro. Those are really the only phones I have now, so those are the only ones I can really test it with. But the one thing I miss doing are camera comparisons, and I cannot wait to do that. It's going to suck with portrait mode, though, because it's only going to be me that can do portrait mode tests. I have no other, I'm social distancing, so I have no one to take other shots with me to do these tests with. But hey, when I lived in California, I did the same shit. I didn't really have many friends out there, so I just took pictures of myself. But it'll work. It'll work for the tests. So let's see. Android Stud Leo says, and I get a better shout out. And I better get a shout out. Leo, I shout you out. You're in my intros and my outros. Yeah, guys, if you guys haven't checked out Android Stud, check him out too. He runs a tech channel. He does a lot of phones that I think a lot of other tech channels don't. So feel free to check him out too. So there's your shout out, Leo. Brian, I cannot forget Brian with the $1 super chat. Brian, thank you so much. I have to say, Brian is on a streak here of super chats. I think it's, 25 days in a row, something longer than that. But Brian, again, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for moderating in the chat. Appreciate it so much. And I see George here too with a $1 super chat. George, thank you, George, with the $1 super chat. You guys who super chat with nothing to say, you guys should say something unless you want me to say it for you. But George, thank you. Also, guys, George is also a tech reviewer. Feel free to check him out. I stream with him Friday nights. Most Friday nights. I might not be able to this Friday, but you can check him out too. His channel is called Mobile Geezer. Feel free to check him out. So, guys, thank you so much. Android Stud, you need to have me on one day. Let me know when you want to come on. We can talk. We can talk tech. We're probably going to end up fighting, but let's do it. Yeah, let me know. And anytime you want to come on, let me know. Levin says you definitely make the day worth it. Appreciate it, man. Means a lot to me. It really does. All right, guys. Android Stud also says have a great stream. I got to get to work NFL draft tonight. Yeah, man, I'm so jealous at the work you do. I see your stuff and I get really jealous, but you do a great job, man. I love that you share that stuff on your social media. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for making it, man. Appreciate it. Really do. And then Will with a $2.99 super chat, who has something to say. Watch all Jerome's videos. Will, thanks for the support, man. I do stream with Will also Friday nights. I might not be able to make it this Friday night, but guys, thank you for all of the support. Thank you for the donations. It means a lot to me. Thank you, guys. All right, let's move on here. Let's move on real quick. Brian Cinco de Mayo, Stud versus Phone Jerome on TNG Joe Fi. Yeah, maybe we'll see. Okay, guys, let's move on. Guys, thank you again so much. Appreciate it. I say a lot of the same stuff, but I do mean it. Your support means a lot to me. It really does. So, okay, let's move on here. What do I have here? Okay, so real quick, I'm just going to go through some of these stories real quick. AT&T's low-band 5G network expands to 90 new U.S. markets, which is great. I don't know if any of you guys here in chat use 5G phones. I know George does. I don't know if anybody else does, but it looks like AT&T is about to expand to new markets, so that's great to see. I don't really know how what cities there are, but with today's expansion, AT&T 5G is now available in 190 total markets across the country. A full list is available. Okay, it's on their website, so take a look if you need. But some notable additions include Chicago, where I'm from, New Orleans, Sacramento, and Seattle. It's worth noting that AT&T's rollout pertains to low band, so we're not talking about millimeter wave. We're not talking about the latest and greatest, the fastest kind of 5G, but it's good to see them start spreading it out. Just leave it there. It's not really something I want to spend too much time on, but at the same time, I want to talk about carriers since we're on here. I always give Verizon so much shit, and it's just because I am not happy with sometimes a lot of their prices or how they do these proprietary exclusive deals, and then they slap their stupid logo on it, and then they add all their bloatware on it. But I will give respect when I have to, and so Verizon is giving 15 gigs of free data to customers amid the COVID-19 crisis, so that's good to see. They're aiming to help customers cope with lockdown and quarantine by offering 15 gigs of free data to almost anyone with a data plan under the company's banner. So it says free access to this data between May 1st and May 31st. So I'm glad to see that, increasing the tethering allowance by 15 gigs. Verizon says most of these already include 15 gigs or 20 gigs of LTE mobile hotspot data. So the 15 gigs would be made available on top of that. So that's good to see. Thank you, Verizon. Thank you for being humane and trying to help people out, especially during this time of need. So, okay, move on past there. I have it's a slower tech news day today. So I don't have the most exciting stories, but we might as well shift through, talk about what's going on. And even if it's tech news related, then let's share it. Let's talk about it. You guys can engage in chat, and that's what that community is for, because it's not just about me. You guys can have me in the background while you talk in chat. And then I'll try to catch up or chime in when I can. So this article from GSM Arena, I wanted to take a look at it. I haven't seen this yet. Motorola shares stunning Edge and Edge Plus camera samples. Yesterday, Motorola unveiled the Edge Plus and Edge. I talked about the Edge Plus before. It's a $1,000 phone, which is a Verizon exclusive, and I do not recommend it. I will not recommend it to anybody. If you're considering it, I just would think twice. I'm not going to tell you what you can do with your money. You do whatever you want, buy whatever you want. But I would, they promise 1 year of updates, and that's just not acceptable. I just don't think that's an acceptable thing, especially when you're paying $1,000 for a phone. So the Motorola Edge Plus has a superior 108 megapixel camera, which outputs 27 megapixels, 4-in-1 pixel bin results. So let's see here. Starting with the Motorola Edge Plus. I mean, yeah, these are pretty good. See, they're not, the highlights are too dark here. I mean, they're good, but you see it's a little washed out over here. It's just not fully, it's washed out. Actually, this entire area is kind of washed out over here. So it's a good shot, but it doesn't look great. Who is taking this? This is the Chicago skyline. Well, Motorola is based in Chicago, so that makes sense. I'm just like, who's out here taking shots in Chicago? Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good shot. But it's still not, it just doesn't scream like high end quality, at least from what I'm seeing. They're good shots though. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, someone's out here in Chicago taking shots. I want to know who. I'm wondering if this shot was taken with a tripod or not. I mean, regardless, if it's taken with the camera, that's great. But that's a pretty good night shot. It's a pretty good one. This one's very dark, but I kind of like it. It's not night vision off. Okay. And then, with night vision on. See, and that's a weird thing here. So this is a pretty cool night shot, but it's also that's not taken at night. I would love to see one that still shows the night, right? Like if you do night vision on, it still looks like it's a night shot that doesn't look like this is in the middle of a dry desert at 1 p.m. Still not a bad shot. This is a really good portrait shot, actually. Yeah, that's actually really nice. I do like that. These are pretty good shots here. Portrait mode. So you can see how this doesn't compare to DSLR, because while this is in focus here, it's just, there's no, the bokeh is still not perfect, but it's not a bad shot. I'm also not going to spend $1,000 to try it out, right? I'm not, and okay, I thought these were Motorola Edge, not the Edge Plus. So the rest of these are Edge shots. I was going to say, I'm also not going to spend $1,000 just to test out the camera, because that's not going to happen. No, but these shots are pretty decent. Some of them came up a little soft. Some of them don't look like they're very sharp. They're very focused, but they're decent. Yeah, they're still not the best though. Ultra wide shots. Not bad though. Not bad. Okay. I just want to see if they have anything else to say. Official camera samples are amazing to look at. Yeah. So they're camera samples too. So it's not shots that somebody took, like a reviewer took. So you kind of have to just take it for what it is, that the company, does the company might have their hand in it and might do a little extra, but we don't know for sure. But it also says here, but we don't know how much effort or extra equipment was involved in creating them. So we'll reserve our judgment until we get to review the two phones. I'm just looking at this reader comment. The samples look mostly believable with aggressive sharpening a la Moto style. The only ones that I don't trust are the night shots and the couple under sunset lighting. Yeah, I mean, those look really good. And that's kind of why, like, okay, well, let's see how they really do in real life, but who's really going to buy one? So I don't know. Okay, let me just go through chat real quick because I know I had, gone through a bunch of articles right now. Tobas says here, what about the Velvet with 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage? I mean, we have no idea. I don't know what the Velvet's going to be priced at. It's going to have the Snapdragon 700 chipset, but I think that really is just going to depend on price and what it prices out at. Brian says here, LOL, is this fake AT&T 5G that's on 4G phones? I mean, yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, 5GE is what Mint Arcade says. Denali says, I have Verizon. Woo. What the fuck do I need to tether for? I'm at home all day. Yeah, but it just depends on the person. Levin says Verizon deserves the shit they get. They high as gas. Okay, let me scroll down here. Levin also says Moto Edge would have been a good device if it was unlocked. I agree. I do agree. George says, looks to me like the G Stylus takes as good or better shots. Yeah, actually, you right, George. Didn't you get the G Stylus? You paid, was it $250? Was that how much the phone was? Wait, can I ask you why you got the G Stylus over the G Power? Did you get it because you wanted this? No, the G Stylus has a better camera, right? Am I right in that? I just wish they would just have put the best features together. I don't know why. I don't know why. Okay. Anyway, let's move on, guys. So I have this article here, not that. And actually, I think Brian shared this to me too, but this article is about Google Duo. So this article from The Verge says Google Duo video calls are about to look a whole lot better. I have a story about this because yesterday was my cousin's son's birthday and he turned 10. And a couple weeks ago, my other cousin, her girlfriend's son turned 10 also, 9, 10, I think 10. They both turned 10. And yesterday we had to, I got an invitation that says, hey, make sure to come by at 5:30 on Zoom to wish him a happy birthday. And it's just, it's so weird. Like, I hate that this is life right now, but yeah, it is what it is. It's weird because it's like happy to see everybody and say happy birthday, but at the same time, it's like, damn, we're just all stuck at home. But this article here from The Verge is saying Google Duo video calls are about to look a whole lot better. Google is updating its video calling app with a new codec technology, which is great to see, great to hear. Google's Duo video chatting app is about to get a big bump in call quality. By the way, do you guys use Duo? Do you guys use, or do you use something else? Are you guys just stuck on Zoom, Hangouts? I don't know if anyone uses Hangouts anymore for video. Hangouts Meet, maybe. Skype. What else is there? Microsoft Teams. There's a FaceTime, obviously. There's a couple of them out there, but a lot of people are saying Duo is really, getting up there on top of the food chain. I just wish Duo would do more in terms of, so like, that's great that Duo is doing a lot in terms of video quality, but I want them to integrate texting in there and just, kind of have a good overall experience with it. So they're using a new codec though, which is supposed to really help improve video. The product of an industry-wide consortium called the Alliance for Open Media. AV1 is the successor to VP9 and can produce significantly higher data compression rates than prior standards, which makes it great for mobile video applications like streaming TV shows and live video calling. Google says all Duo calls will now use AV1, making even low bandwidth video calls appear much higher quality than before. The codec change will also help with video call stability too. So yeah, I mean, obviously that's a big difference here when you're comparing to the pixelation on the right to what you see on the left. In addition to the AV1 update, Google is also releasing a new photo mode for Duo starting today, so you can capture and then share side-by-side photos of you and one other person on your call. The feature will be expanding to group calls soon. Anyway, great to see. Not going to go into this whole thing. Just nice to see them doing that. I do want to I saw this article and I just started laughing and I just said, oh, I'll just share it. So this article from Business Insider says, afraid, am I stuck on this huge ass ad? Okay, that's very annoying. Afraid of the person in the middle of your Zoom call. Let me see if okay. Okay, there you go. Afraid of the person in the middle of your Zoom call. You're not alone. Researchers say large faces in video meetings can trigger a fight or flight response. And I don't know why, but when I read this yesterday, I just started cracking up. So, seeing a large face on a video call can make your brain think the person is close and trigger a fight or flight response, according to a researcher who studies how people interact with computers. Have you guys experienced that? Have you guys done these video chats with multiple people, and then if there's someone in there who's like in your face, does that actually make you like step back, or does it make you pay attention to that person because their face is just so far into the camera? I didn't think about that. And then the science behind it kind of makes sense. People can control their personal space in physical meetings, right? You move away from each other or whatever, but in virtual ones, that's decided by how close you sit and how big someone's face appears. During a Stanford study, people actually flinched when exposed to big virtual faces, offering one explanation for why Zoom calls can be so exhausting. As video calls become the norm due to coronavirus lockdowns, we're starting to see the subtle but significant ways that change how we communicate. If that large face in the middle of your Zoom call has ever made you feel anxious or afraid, you're not alone. We're naturally wired to pay attention to faces, and seeing large ones on a computer screen causes our brain interpret on a computer screen causes our brain to interpret them as being close, which triggers our fight or flight reflex. We choose seats, move chairs, and adjust our distance to stay comfortable during real meetings. But on computer screens, personal space is determined by the size of the face image and how far you sit from the screen. It makes me just want to do that the next time I'm in like, a 8-person chat, is to just put my face right up on the camera. Zoom, Google Hangouts, FaceTime, Skype, and other video conferencing tools display a full screen image of the person talking by default, making them appear closer than might normally be socially acceptable during in-person meetings. Yeah, it says here in 2003, where being exposed to large virtual faces actually caused participants to flinch physically, which he suggested could explain why video calls can feel so exhausting. Anyway, just thought I'd share that. I see Mint Arcade saying, Jerome, zoom in. I am not putting my face up to the camera. Not right now. I see Lucas. Lucas. Hey, hello. Hey, Lucas. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the chat. Appreciate you can make it. Tomorrow, getting the iPhone SE product red. I am getting the exact same one. But maybe as a second phone, my primary phone is a Note 10 Plus. Let me know how your experience is with it. I am going to get that tomorrow. I don't know what time it's coming in, but as soon as I do, as soon as I'm done streaming and doing my other work, I'm going to be taking photos, doing camera comparisons, and getting those ready. Levin Williams also says, I use Duo now and it's good to me. Yeah, I've used it once or twice. And it's been pretty good from my experience. I mean, I've used other ones too, but yeah, I'll have to see. George says, yeah, I got it for a better camera. I wasn't going to get it until I read a couple of the camera reviews, $299. Oh, so it's more than the Moto G Power? I guess it's more because of the camera, but yeah, $300. I guess I'd have to play with it and see how well it works. So, okay, let's move on, guys. Xiaomi tipped to launch the world's first 150 megapixel camera phone in Q4 of 2020. we keep seeing these 108 megapixel phones come in, and then now we're talking about 150, and I just still don't know if any of these phones, just because they're 108 or 150, or there was an article that I saw talking about 600 megapixel phones, and then we have the iPhone 11 Pro that's doing it at 12 megapixels, and it's still killing it in most respects. And I just don't, this whole megapixel game is just not making any sense to me. So Xiaomi will apparently launch a new phone with a 150 megapixel camera before the end of 2020. Oppo and Vivo are also rumored to introduce phones with the same 150 megapixel Samsung made sensor in Q1 of 2020. Xiaomi was the first company to launch a phone with a 108 megapixel camera last year. Yeah, earlier this week, Samsung announced that it plans to develop 600 megapixel camera sensors that will be capable of capturing more detail than the human eye. Why are we committing all of our time and money and research to do 108, 150, 600 megapixel cameras? Is it just to brag? Is it just to make it a spec sheet on paper to make people say, damn, that's the camera I'm going to buy because now it has the most megapixels, even though we know time and time again, it's not the megapixels that really make the quality. It isn't. Look at the iPhone 11 Pro. Look at the Pixel 4. Those do not have big ass megapixel, specs on it, but they still time and time again, they're coming out on top with best camera quality. I don't really want to go into this whole article because it's not something that I just if these cameras actually provided best quality photo samples that outpaced the top end 12 megapixel competitors, then yeah, we can talk about it. But I don't know if this 150 megapixel is going to be the camera phone that's going to beat the top tier ones. I really don't. Just because it has 108, just because it has 150, just because it has 600 megapixels. I can understand if you want to make this to print out a billboard, but nobody's printing billboards out, man. We're taking these pictures, we're posting it on social media. Most people are. I guess I can't speak for everybody because maybe there's somebody who's printing out big ass posters, but for the most part, I don't think so. I think we're sharing our stuff on social media. And if people want to print stuff out on a poster or put it on a billboard, then we're probably talking about, higher end cameras at that point. We're not talking camera phones. We're not. Okay. So moving on, this article from The Verge, Apple will reportedly use 12 core 5 nanometer ARM processor in a 2021 Mac. So we were just talking about how Google is going to start maybe creating their own chips to put in their phones, which I'm happy about. I would love to see them create their own chipsets to put in their Pixels and also their Chromebooks, apparently. But now it looks like Apple is going to start doing that. I mean, Apple already has their own chipsets that they put in their iPhones, which is why it seems like they have repeatedly year over year outperformed anything that Android has put out, but also in terms of like battery life and whatever. And their iPhones have always performed very, very well. And now it looks like they're going to start using it in their Macs. So Apple will release its first Mac powered by an ARM processor in 2021. The company is thought to have 3 Mac processors in development, which are all based on the A14 chip that's due to be used in this year's flagship iPhone lineup. You know what? If you want to make sure that your product is the best and it's top tier and you want to have complete control and make sure that the quality is where it needs to be, this is the way to do it. This is the way that I think Google needs to start figuring out their shit so that they can compete properly. Instead of us being tied to the price, right? Everyone's complaining that this Snapdragon 865 is going to be too expensive. And now that's why Google is saying, well, we're not going to use the 865 for the Pixel 5. We're going to use the 765 instead. So now we're having a less performance phone on a flagship just to save some money because Qualcomm is charging so much for their 865. If Google had complete control, then maybe the price will be better. So Apple is now doing it with their Macs, or they're going to be doing it with their Macs. The Switch would give Apple much more control over its own hardware at a time when Intel has been struggling to offer significant performance increases with each new generation of hardware. Current ARM processors are also often more power efficient, which helps with battery life. Switching to ARM is expected to let Apple reduce its processor costs by 40 to 60%. So it's kind of win-win for them. It kind of makes a lot of sense that they're doing this. So Bloomberg's report offers a lot of technical details on the form Apple's chips could take. 3 Mac SoC designs, system on chip, are based on the A14 processor currently in development, and work has also started on a Mac SoC based on next year's iPhone processor. The Mac chips will reportedly be manufactured by TSMC based on a 5 nanometer fabrication process. The first of these chips will feature 8 high-performance CPU cores and at least 4 energy-efficient cores, or 412 cores in total. The A12Z chip used in the current iPad Pro has 8 cores. So we're talking about, 4 more cores in here. It's just a lot more power to be packed in it, which is exciting to see. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to seeing Google do something to actually compete, because Apple is, I think in terms of performance and stuff, I think they might be running away with it. They have been for a while. So yeah, okay. Let me kind of just go back into chat here, just to see. Mint Arcade says, just give us amazing 16 megapixel cameras. That's all I ask. Yeah, again, the way I feel about it, quality over quantity, quality over quantity. I don't need 5 camera lenses on my phone, especially if all 5 of them are going to be mediocre. What's the point? Give me just one good camera on there instead. A la iPhone SE is my guess is what's going to happen. Oz Bibo says regular people still look at megapixel count to choose their devices. Unfortunately, yes, it's a shame. That's why, like, I feel like as a tech reviewer, as a tech influencer, it's good to keep pointing that out. And I will say it time and time again, megapixel count on a camera does not matter. It does not matter. If you want proof, we can talk about a 108 megapixel camera on a Samsung Galaxy S20, or we can talk about what results give you on an iPhone 11 Pro, 12 megapixels. Tell me again that 12 megapixels and 108 megapixels, when you think in that logic, you would think the 108 megapixels would be worlds better, so much better, but it isn't. It really isn't. I haven't tested an S20, right? I haven't tested its 108 megapixel camera, but I am pretty certain that when you put those cameras head to head, most people are not going to see the difference. They're not going to see the difference. Okay, so let's see here. Okay. Just looking at the chat, guys, but let's move on. I only have 2 more stories and I'm about to call it a day. This article from Android Central says, should I buy a used phone right now? Concerns and questions answered. I think this article has something to do with the coronavirus. So again, should I buy a used phone right now? Especially with everything that's going on with the pandemic. Maybe this is about, it's something I actually thought about. Like, if I buy a used phone, how am I going to make sure that I'm going to be safe? Because, you know, people talk about how the virus can still live on cardboard or it can stay on it for a couple of days. I just, you know, I thought I would pull this up. I haven't read it yet, so I want to see what they have to say about it. So best answer, it's okay to be anxious about buying a used phone right now, but you'll more than likely be perfectly fine if you choose to do so. Yes, germs are a real concern, so it looks like we are talking about the pandemic here, but you can take simple and effective precautionary measures to ensure you stay healthy and safe while saving some cash on a pre-owned handset. Buying used secondhand phones is often a great way to upgrade your current handset without having to pay the full retail price. Sure, there's something to be said about buying a shiny brand new phone, but it's also hard to justify coughing up $100 or $1,000 or more for a new flagship when you can save hundreds by buying pre-owned. So let's see here. What you can do to stay safe and healthy. While it's reasonable to be anxious, there are a lot of precautions. For starters, we want to reassure you that the chance of a virus sticking to a phone and then being transmitted to you is pretty unlikely. The current virus that's going around can survive for up to 72 hours on certain surfaces, such as stainless steel and plastic. By the time you buy a pre-owned phone, the seller packages up, ships it to you, and then you finally have it delivered. Any germs that were on the phone will more than likely be dead. In fact, if you were to pick up anything during this process, it's more likely that a virus would find its way to you via the box the phone was delivered in. Yes, obviously, because of somebody who's carrying it or whatever. Once the phone arrives, put on disposable gloves before handling the box it was shipped in. If you have one, it's also not a bad idea to wear a mask. Okay, so take the phone out of the box, give it a thorough cleaning, and wipe down any surfaces the delivery box came into contact with. I'm just seeing what they're saying to use through it. I mean, they're talking about other places you can buy the phone. It doesn't talk about sanitizing. So, as far as sanitizing, usually the thing to think about is isopropyl alcohol, and you have to dilute it in a certain way. You know, there's something to be said about using Clorox wipes. Some of that has alcohol in there that can mess up, I think, the oleophobic coating. So be careful when it comes to stuff like that. You're going to have to do your research because I don't know the true facts or the true science behind what you need and what you don't need. So just do your homework. There are some used phones I keep looking at because there's one in particular that I really want because I want to test it out and see how well it works, especially if I can get it for the price. It's out there, but I want to try to get under $100. If I do, I'll let you guys know. I've mentioned it in the past, but I don't know. I kind of want to keep it secret and kind of don't, but but yeah. So anyway, the last article I have here is from The Verge called, or it's titled, Wi-Fi is getting its biggest upgrade in 20 years. 6 gigahertz Wi-Fi is coming soon. In a few months, there's going to be a lot more Wi-Fi to go around. The FCC voted today to open up a plot of spectrum in the 6 gigahertz band for unlicensed use. The same regulatory go-ahead that lets your router broadcast over 2.4 and 5 gigahertz bands. If you don't know, most routers these days today use 2.4 and 5, and it looks like they want to add a third one for 6. So that means there are now more open airwaves, a lot more that routers can use to broadcast Wi-Fi signals. This is the most monumental decision around Wi-Fi spectrum in the history, in its history, in the 20 years we've been around. Devices are expected to start supporting 6 gig Wi-Fi by the end of 2020. So that's great to see. So that means we're going to need to upgrade our wireless routers or, mesh units or whatever. But, for the most part, I think what you have now is going to work just fine. If you want like the latest and greatest, though, when this comes out, I mean, I'm expected, or I'll be excited to use it and see how well it actually does as far as Wi-Fi goes. How will this fix my bad Wi-Fi? If you've ever had trouble, there's a good chance spectrum congestion was a problem whenever you have too many devices to connect. So this is going to go a long way towards solving that problem. That's good to know. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Maybe one day I'll take a little more time to go over it. But it's been an hour and 15 minutes, guys, and like my voice is kind of, I'm, talking for an hour a day takes a lot sometimes out of me. And right now it's getting to that point. So I do want to thank everybody for stopping by. I do want to thank everybody for hanging out. If you guys haven't already, real quick, I will say, please feel free to like the video. If you just came in, there's a whole replay that you can watch. So replay crew, feel free to watch it again to go through the stream. For everybody that joined in chat, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for joining. Thank you for saying what's up. I love that people chat in here. We can be a community. We can engage. We can talk about phones and see what's going on. For everybody who went that extra step and donated in Super Chat, guys, thank you so much. For people who did donate in Super Chat, now my intros and outros have your name in it, and I update that daily. So anytime someone submits a Super Chat, I kind of put it in order of like who has donated the most, so people get like their proper like props or their shout out. So again, thank you guys so much. I do stream again Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. So I will be streaming again tomorrow. So check me out again. Hopefully we have more tech news to talk about. If not, I will find a way to talk about something, because I enjoy doing this. I enjoy engaging with people. And I think it's a good way to just, form this community. So guys, I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much again. And I'm about to hit this play outro. So I'll see you guys soon. Take it easy. Bye now.